these are my pattern pieces for the dress, and it's just 2 simple pieces. These are the sleeves. This is a sleeve piece. This is the dress, the body of the dress piece. And I'm going to use this right here for the sleeves and this for the body. And so let's get started. Now, I said when I did the vlog talking about this, I want the sleeves to be a little bit longer. The first one I made, I think the sleeves are just like really short, and I want them to be a little puffier. So what I'm going to do is try adding a little length to the sleeve, and hopefully that'll give us a nice puffy sleeve. This would be the bottom of the sleeve where it goes around the arm. So what I want to do is, I'm going to need to cut 2 of these, but I'm going to cut them one at a time. What I want to do is add about close to 2 inches to this sleeve. Now I can just take this piece as a guide to cut the second piece. Okay, the next thing I want to do is cut out 2 pieces for the body of the dress, and I'm going to do that off camera, and then we'll get started constructing the dress. Now you see I've got 2 of the body pieces cut on the fold and 2 of the sleeves cut on the fold, and I've added a couple of inches to the sleeves because I want to see if I can make them a little puffier. So our first step is going to be to, since I ironed this, and you know it's going to create a crease that'll be hard to get out of the sleeves later on, I'm going to iron that crease out. So that's going to be the very first thing that I'm going to do before I start putting the dress together. Okay, so I'm going to take a sleeve and a piece of the dress piece, and I want to line up the sleeve, making sure that this is on the outside. You don't want to do it like this. With right sides facing together, I'm going to put this sleeve here. I'm just going to pin it so it stays in place. Now I'm going to stitch right along here, being very careful to be as neat as possible. You want that curve to be neat in the arm. So we'll go over to the machine and do that. I'm just keeping the side of my presser foot right at the edge of the fabric so that it's all evened out. Now I'm going to take the pins out. I'm going to fold this sleeve over, open it up, and I'm going to place the other sleeve on the other side. And I'm going to pin it in place and stitch it the same way I did the first one. And I'll do that off camera, and then I will come back and show you what to do next. Okay, we got the sleeve sewn on one side of the baby dress. Now what we need to do is sew it onto the other side. So I'm going to start by flipping this piece over. going to line it up. Okay, I'm going to go over to the machine and I'm going to sew this one. Then I'm going to line this one up and sew it on as well. Hopefully you can see this in my crowded little space in here. This is the dress laid out after everything has been, the sleeves have been put together. And I went ahead with my Kenmore and did a tight zigzag around the neck edge and around the bottom edge of the sleeves just to neaten it up. If you can do that, or if you have a serger, you probably want to serge everything. So my next step is going to be to create a casing for the the elastic in the sleeves and the elastic in the neck. And the sleeves I'm going to iron over. I'm not going to iron the neck because it's just in such an awkward place, and I actually think I would do better with it if I don't try to iron it and get it all even, because sometimes it just doesn't work out with something odd like this. I don't know. We'll see. I might try it. I'm folding over about 1/2 inch. For the sleeves, and I'm going to use this 1/4 inch elastic. It's always good to, I don't think I said that in my Sewing Essentials video, but it is always good to have extra things like elastic in different sizes and buttons, and you know, almost every seamstress has a button collection. I certainly do. I'm not going to iron this because I don't think that I will get it right. I do better doing the neckline as I go along. But I'm going to sew right up on the edge of these, and I'm going to turn the neckline and sew it over so that I can create a casing. For the neckline, you want to leave an opening so that you can feed the elastic through. You're not going to need to do that with the sleeves. You just leave the ends open so you can feed it through. And I created this little piece to make like a tag for the back or the front. It's really, this dress is like all, there wasn't a back piece and a front piece. So it's just up to you to determine which side you want to put it on. And what I'm going to do is put it in there like that and make sort of a tag to make the, show where the back is. I'm doing this, the casing for the sleeves, and then we'll do the neckline. Okay, for the neckline, we're going to take the free arm off of our machine. And I'm going to start on the edge of one of the sleeves. I'm just going to stay right on this edge because we want plenty of room to put the elastic in. When I get to the middle here, I'm going to get my little tag. I'm going to put my needle down in there so the fabric doesn't shift. And I'm going to stick this tag right in here. And the way I know that I've got it lined up is that all these seams for where the sleeve is connected to the body will kind of line up. Sometimes the cut isn't right. You can see here it looks thicker than it does here, but that does, you know, it just happens sometimes when you cut a pattern. But I know I've got it lined up evenly because everything is lining up the way that it should. What I want to do next is I'm going to go ahead and put the elastic in the sleeves, and we'll do the neckline last. So I'm going to take a safety pin. I have a big safety pin, so it was kind of hard to fit them through when I did the first dress the other night, especially through the neckline, but it works. So we're just going to I'm going to feed this all the way through, and I'm going to leave a little bit of a tail, not much, just so I don't lose it in there, and I'm going to go ahead and take the safety pin off. What I'm going to do is just stitch that to hold it in place. I'm going to do a real quick stitch, just a couple of times over it so that elastic doesn't move. Now if you have the child with you that you're making this for, you can use their measurements, and you want it to be a little loose on an infant. You don't want it to be too tight. But I'm kind of eyeballing this. My little great niece is kind of chunky, so I want to just figure out where it's going to be when I sew this together. And I think if I can get at least 3 fingers in there and stretch them out, I've got a good, it's not too tight. So now what I need to do is, now that I've figured out where I want that, I'm going to sew this piece in without cutting the elastic, because you might lose it in the sleeve, in the casing. I'm going to just sew over this side too. Now I can clip this elastic out of here, and I can clip this little tail off of this one, and it is in place. So I'm going to do the same thing with the other side, and I'm going to use the first sleeve I did to measure and make sure I've got them both equal. Now you can see our little dress. It's not complete, but I've got the elastic in the sleeves. And at this point I'm going to go ahead and close up the body of the dress, and then I'll do the neckline last. What I want to do is line everything up. And start pinning just a little bit, just so nothing shifts out of place. I'm going to do this on both sides. I'm going to line everything up. I'm going to start at the sleeve, and we'll sew about a 1/4 inch seam allowance going here, going down all the way down the dress, and do the exact same thing with the other side. So now you see our little dress is coming together. I love this material, by the way, y'all. This is really cute. Really pretty material to make just about anything out of. I'm going to also be making a bonnet and a pair of baby slippers to go with this outfit, and I'll do those in a separate video, so stay tuned for that. Okay, now we need to put the casing, the elastic in the neckline, and that's a pretty simple step too. It's the same thing. We're going to feed this safety pin through this elastic. I'll find the opening I left, which is right here. Okay, once I've got this fed through, I just need to decide how much gather I want in it. And I think I like this right here. The gather looks good. And she can still get her little round little baby head in there. So I'm going to go over to the machine and I'm just going to tack across this elastic. Since it's such thin elastic, I can't really sew down like that. So I'm going to go this way with a zigzag stitch. And then I will close up this little opening right here and finish off the hem. I'll come back and show you finishing off the hem, but hopefully you don't need to see me finishing this part off. So I'll be back. I went ahead and finished the neckline, closed it up, and I went all around with a zigzag, tight zigzag stitch, and just, you know, neatened up these lines on this. And I did the same thing with the bottom, and now all I need to do is hem it. This would be the point where if you want to add any cute little trim or lace or anything at the bottom, you would want to go ahead and do that now. Okay, I think maybe I've got it now. So we decide where the trim has the front and the back. It looks better on one side than the other. So I'm going to line it up with the middle of the back, and I'm going to sew this all the way around the dress, and then I'm going to come fold this over and sew it on top. With this part I want to be very careful because I'm sewing the front onto the back, and I want to make sure I don't get this caught underneath here and that I keep it lined up well. So I'm going to put my machine on low speed. So I'm about 4 or 5 inches from, I probably got 15 feet of this crap. Okay, I'm about 4 or 5 inches from the end. I'm going to go ahead and sew just a little bit more. And now I want to go ahead and leave about an inch overlapping the first piece. And I'm going to cut that off. I need to do this on the outside. If you can see what I'm doing here, I'm going to fold it over. And then we'll start from there, and I'm going to pin it so it doesn't move. To medium because this is kind of thick right here. And I just want to sew it right along the edge of this trim. So there it is. And the sleeves, I didn't really get the puff out of them, but I wanted them to be a little puffier than the ones on the original dress I made. But they're nice and long, and it's a cute little dress. And it'll, once I get the shoes and the bonnet complete, it'll be a really cute little outfit for my great niece. And sorry about the trim. I really had trouble with that one, didn't I? You don't have to add the trim. You can just make a hem. I saw videos and blogs where they suggested you could make cute little buttons and bows to go on here. You're making this for an infant, so I do not recommend making anything tinier than a silver dollar. You could make a big bow, something that if it came off, the child wouldn't choke on it. Little tutorial for the little infant peasant dress. If you wanted more puff in the sleeve, I think really the way to go is to, when you cut it on the fold, to cut it a little wider. Like you could say this is the fold of the fabric. You could put it maybe a ½ inch or an inch or two over, and that'll give more puff in the sleeve. But I just kind of made them longer. I didn't like those sleeves were so short and so just looked tight, looked almost more difficult to get on an infant. But yeah, so that's it. Thank you for watching, guys. Peace, y'all. Bye-bye.